بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين أما بعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Inshallah ta'ala, we are going to start a series of talks after Isha every night for 5 minutes bi'idhnillah. And we're going to go through the book Riyad Us-Saliheen by Imam an-Nawawi rahimahullah ta'ala. We'll try to discuss just one or two benefits from a hadith and some verses of the Quran, insha'Allah ta'ala. Tonight we will read through the muqaddimah of the book. Imam an-Nawawi rahimahullah wrote an introduction to the book. He said, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Alhamdulillahi al-Wahid al-Qahhar, al-Aziz al-Ghaffar, mukawwir al-Layli ala al-Nahari, tadhkiratan li uli al-Qulubi wal-Absar, wa tabsiratan li dhawi al-Albabi wal-I'tibar. Begins by praising Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. All praise is due to Allah, the One, Al-Wahid, Al-Qahhar, the Subduer, who is Al-Aziz Al-Ghaffar, He is the Mighty and the Forgiving. Mukawwir al-Layli ala al-Nahar, He is the one who alternates the night and the day, changes from night to the day. And He does all of this as a reminder for those with hearts and insight. That everything that happens in this world, all of the actions of Allah Azza wa Jal, there is signs for those people who take note, for the people of intelligence. And it's also as an insight for the people of intellect and reflection. The fact Allah changes night to day, day to night, there's signs in it for us to reflect over. الذي أيقظ من خلقه من اصطفاه فزهدهم في هذه الدار. Praise to Allah, who is the one who awakens from among His creation. He wakes people up from amongst His creation, those whom He has chosen, causing them to renounce the worldly life in this abode. Subhanallah. Imam an-Nawawi rahimahullah is telling us, they are chosen slaves of Allah. What are their signs? They are those who have turned away from this dunya. فَزَهَّدَهُمْ. Allah made them people of zuhd. They did not really run after and seek more and more and more of this dunya. And He engages them in the contemplation of His being and in the perpetuation of thought. Part of the success that Allah chose people for, or the chosen ones, are those who think about Him. They busy their times contemplating their Rabb, contemplating who Allah Azza wa Jal is, thinking about His greatness, thinking about His signs, His names and His attributes, and always being in a state of good thought. And this is the believer. This is what we should be. We shouldn't be idle. We shouldn't be wasting our time, wasting our thoughts. We should be thinking and benefiting ourselves at all times, in adhering to the path of seeking advice and the remembrance of Him. This is the path that we should all be searching for. Those who are constantly advising each other and taking advice from each other, and always staying in the remembrance of Allah Azza wa Jal. It enables them to persist in His obedience and prepare themselves for the eternal abode, while being cautious about what displeases Him and leads to the abode of ruin. And they maintain this even with changing circumstances and conditions. This is ultimately what is required of us, that we persist in the obedience of Allah. We continuously strive, and we strive for steadfastness, istiqamah. وَعْبُدْ رَبَّكَ حَتَّى يَأْتِيَكَ الْيَقِينَ, as Allah says, continue worshipping your Lord alone until yaqeen comes to you, which is your death. So this is success. And this is what we should be striving for, to be a person of istiqamah, not one who worships one day and stops, worships and he stops. Try to be a person who is consistent in their ibadah, while being cautious about what displeases Allah and leads to the abode of ruin, yani Jahannam. So we strive for ubudiyah, worship and ta'ah towards Allah, obedience, whilst trying our best to stay away from what displeases Him, because that leads to the abode of ruin. Darul Bawar, place of destruction, of ruin. That is the fire of Jahannam. May Allah Azza wa Jal protect us. And then He says, and Allah keeps them upon this path, even though مَعَ تَغَايُرِ الْأَحْوَالِ وَالْأَطْوَارِ. Things are changing, circumstances, conditions, everything's constantly changing in this dunya. but the believer stays the same. The believer stays steadfast. He stays upon the same aqeedah, the same obedience, follows the same sunnah, does the same deeds. Because this is Islam. And this is where our salvation will be found, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. Tomorrow, bi'idhnillah, we continue with the muqaddimah, and like this, bi'idhnillah, daily we will try and do 5 minutes of learning. Remember Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, أَحَبُّ الْأَعْمَالِ إِلَى اللَّهِ أَدْوَمُهُ وَإِنْ قَلَّ. The most beloved of deeds to Allah are those which are the most consistent, even though they are small and few. So we try and seek knowledge daily, bi'idhnihi ta'ala, even though it's a little bit, small bites of knowledge, but this is what Allah Azza wa Jal loves. So we ask that He accept it from us, that He grants us istiqamah upon this. Ameen ya Rabbil Alameen, wa sallallahu ala nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.